Good morning, kindergarten artists. Today we are going to be using what we know about lines to create snakes. They're going to have different kinds of lines and patterns on their body that makes up their skin. So to begin, we'll go over the different kinds of lines that we know. The tools you'll need for this drawing assignment are a piece of paper. Doesn't need to be very big, but just big enough, right? Then you are going to need markers. You can use any colors you want. Just keep in mind, if you put a bunch out on your table, they might roll away. I like to use one marker at a time so I don't make a big mess. Now, back to those lines. We have a line called a horizontal line, which goes side to side. We have lines called vertical lines that go up and down. We have zigzag lines, which go zig, zag, zig, zag, zig. I bet you know the next part, zag. These are also called diagonal lines, and they are neither horizontal nor vertical. They work at an angle. We also have loopy lines, bumpy lines, wavy lines, spiral lines, which are very challenging. The trick with a spiral line is to make sure that it does not touch any of the sides as you move from the middle to the outside. And finally, we also have dashed and dotted lines. You can use any of these lines today to complete our project. See what I mean? Markers everywhere. Step one of all of our projects is to write your name somewhere clearly so your teacher or parent can see it. I wrote mine up at the top in all capital letters. The second step is to think of a line. I think I'll start with a horizontal line. That is a line that goes from side to side. I'm going to pick a spot on my paper to draw it. What I know about snakes, since I actually have one as a pet, is that they have a long body with a skinny tail and a bigger head. And we can do that by going back to one side of our line and drawing a diagonal line, not one that goes wee. We want one that stays pretty close to that first line. And then we can draw one bump. And here's my favorite part. You can add eyeballs and a tongue like the letter Y. There's your first snake. We used a horizontal line and a diagonal line and a bumpy line to make that first snake. I am going to use a wavy line next. You can use whatever line you want, but I make my wavy line by going very, very smoothly across my paper, almost like drawing an S and then just continuing to the bottom. I start at the top for a tail, and I'm going to make a line that follows my wavy line. Notice how when I draw this line, it does not touch except at the tail. I want it to copy that wavy line that I drew before. Then we got to give our snake a head with a little bumpy line or a rainbow line if we draw it that way. A tail, and maybe one eyeball because I only see half of the face. So horizontal, wavy. Here's the last one I will show you, and I think this is one of the cooler ones because snakes actually coil up into a spiral to go to sleep. So to draw a spiral, we start with a very small circle, but we don't close it. We leave it open. If you've ever seen a snail shell is also a spiral. And notice I am not touching the sides of my spiral to each other, I'll stop there. How can we make this into our snake with the two-sided lines? We start at the end for a tail, and we're going to go around the spiral the opposite way. That looks kind of crazy, right? But the good news is our snake is watching us and keeping an eye. And there's his little tongue sticking out. So I think that's the hardest one because we have to really follow our line. Let's do that again a different way. So again, start with a small open circle, around and stop. Then we can go back around to the end. Make some eyeballs and a tongue, and you have your snake. Part 1 done. Part 2, you decorate your snake with lines. Any kind of lines. Zigzag lines, dashed lines, dotted lines. Just polka dots work too. What about a wavy line for this orange snake with the horizontal body? You choose how to decorate your snakes, and eventually you're going to have colorful and line-filled snakes all over your paper. That is our lesson for kindergarten. I hope you had tons of fun. Have a great time drawing your sneaky, colorful snakes, and have a wonderful day.